Welcome to our program today. Please go ahead with your question.
Good afternoon. Could you please read 2 verses and then I have a question? The first verse is 1 Kings 19, verse 18.
1 Kings 19, verse 18. It says, "Yet I have left me 7,000 in Israel, all the knees which have not bowed unto Baal, and every mouth which has not kissed him."
The next verse is Revelation 11, verse 13.
Revelation 11:13 says, "In the same hour was there a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell, and in the earthquake were slain of men 7,000, and the remnant were affrighted and gave glory to the God of heaven."
My question is this. In 1 Kings, I believe the 7,000 refer to the elect or believers. But in Revelation 11, is that 7,000 refer to those who remain in the church and were spiritually dead? Or does that refer to the elect who were spiritually silenced and killed?
Well, it's referring to those within the churches that on May 21, 2011 have been bundled as tares for the burning and, yes, thrown into the fire, so they're done. And how can we understand this? Because in 1 Kings 19, it is referring to the elect, and in Revelation 11, the reference to 7,000 now is identifying with those within the churches who might have been close to the truth. We might even have thought, well, these people are reformed, they understand the truth, and yet because God raised up that last testing program, commanding all to come out of the church, it revealed the spiritual condition of everyone who remained behind. And I think a good way of understanding this would be to relate it to how God has used the third part in the Bible. If we read Zechariah 13, verse 8 and 9, the third part clearly identifies with the elect. And in other places too, where the third part is spared. In 2 Kings chapter 1, when the captain and his 50 come to take Elijah, and they're burned up. And then the second captain and his 50 are burned up. The third captain and his 50 comes humbly, and he's spared. 1/3, 2/3 relationship we see, and there's several other instances like that. So it's actually very well proven that the third part identifies with those who are elect. But then we come to the New Testament in Revelation chapter 8, in a chapter dealing with the Great Tribulation, the judgment on the church. We read in Revelation 8, it says in verse 10, "And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and it fell upon the third part of the rivers, and upon the fountains of waters, and the name of the star is called Wormwood. And the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters because they were made bitter. And the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars, etc." Third part, judgment on the third part. And in Revelation 9, which is describing the transition from the judgment on the church to the judgment on the world, we find it says in verse 18, "By these 3 was the third part of men killed by the fire, by the smoke, and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouths." And that is very similar to the verse in Revelation 11:13, because this is telling us that those who did remain behind in the church are slain. They are killed once the door shuts on May 21, 2011. Because they were in the church where the latter rain was not falling, it guarantees they could not have been saved. There was no salvation taking place within the church, and now no salvation anywhere, so they've been slain. And in Revelation 11, the reference to 7,000, it's just a figure of speech that typically couldn't identify with the elect, but now God is using 7,000 to identify with those that have been slain within the congregations on the day of judgment.